Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar from SkyJet on optimizing product lifecycle governance strategies for growth and ESG excellence. So, welcome today. Look, before we hit the ground running today, I'd like to introduce your hosts. Joining me today is Lisa Eisen, the CEO and founder of SkyJet. Thanks, Lisa. And Lisa's journey in product is super interesting. She's had led hundreds of teams to develop, launch, and optimize products in large corporations. And through her 25 years of experience, SkyJet was ultimately born to bridge that gap between collaborative teams, systemizing processes and data to drive product growth. And hello, everyone. I'm Sue Sevan-Raja. I specialise in optimising client experiences, pre and post onboarding, and lead our customer success teams at SkyJet globally to ensure our clients implement and digitise their product lifecycle governance frameworks. So, a very warm welcome from me today, too. So, I'll just move on to sort of our agenda and what we've got sort of planned today. We'll be taking you through the absolute fundamentals of what we're seeing globally that's evolving, making it necessary to implement a robust product lifecycle governance process. And for context, obviously what those key insights and challenges that we're seeing across a range of industry sectors globally. So we'll take you through what a best practice product lifecycle governance framework looks like and include a couple of case studies for context. Now, today, we have a number of attendees from the financial sector and the airlines industry, so we're keen to give some specific examples, so please stay tuned. We've got some exciting content. So we'll also be showcasing a toolkit to get started, including a video showcase and an implementation roadmap for you to understand how easy it is to adopt into your organisation, as this is quite a commonly asked question. So we'll also follow up with a Q&A. So feel free to post any questions in the chat that you'll see in your screen. So with this, I'll just hand over to Lisa.
Thanks, Sue. Hi, everyone. So I'm Lisa. I'm going to kick off today just unpacking product lifecycle governance and really just focus on some of the business outcomes you can get in your businesses, and then just delve a little bit into how you can really take a more strategic approach to that lifecycle management and governance and operationalize it, particularly between your product and your compliance teams. So I just want to kick off just sharing, I guess, some general insights that I'm seeing across the key industries that we're working with product lifecycle management and governance. And one of the first things I think we're seeing is really just around the adoption of the frameworks. As I said, organisations have fairly well-developed frameworks for their product innovation, so that new product development, adding features to existing products. But what we're seeing that your end-to-end lifecycle management and governance is adding a lot of value, not only to that new product development, but to your in-market products and that monitoring. I guess the second area to highlight is really around that lifecycle thinking. So the end-to-end lifecycle management obviously has benefits for your product management and your product innovation, but we're also seeing businesses extend that into other areas like the oversight of your marketing collateral and particularly your ESG, your sustainability metrics. And I'll pick that up later in the webinar, just how that's working into product teams. So that big focus on your customer, but also embedding that ESG into your product teams and your end-to-end lifecycle management. Then just the final insight really is around, in most industries, we're seeing businesses go through a digital transformation, and definitely this lifecycle management is on the agenda to just uplift that and get rid of all of your manual processes that are burning a lot of time in your product and compliance teams. So just over the core challenges, again, I think these won't be new to people on the call, but definitely what we're seeing is the operationalizing that governance framework in your business. So what does that mean? Well, how do you embed it? How do you get rid of all of those manual tasks and make it efficient and streamline it? And we'll touch on that today. And of course, that collaboration between your product and your compliance and risk teams, that is a challenge when you're working across email trails and manual processes, of course. The consistency in a business, we do go into businesses and see that they have product governance frameworks, but again, just streamlining those so they become more efficient and effective is a key challenge in most sectors that we're in. So really today is how do you solve some of those challenges, and what are some of the best practices that we can share. So I'm just going to touch now, just share out some of those insights that we're seeing. So that perspective, we've now sort of deployed this end-to-end lifecycle management and governance across more than 150 clients in various industries globally. And we do see some common themes then when we go in and have embedded some of those best practices so that you can see those benefits and really lift the standard of your life cycle governance across your business. So probably the first area to touch on is the best practices around just making sure that your product life cycle management is end to end. And this is quite a basic one, but as I said before, we do see in a lot of industries quite mature frameworks around your new product development, your agile innovation, but there are gaps in that post-launch, particularly the monitoring and the risk management. So the first key takeout in terms of best practice is just ensuring that your framework is end-to-end. Starts at that product design, but goes right through to the monitoring, and also includes that important step of the sunsetting and the closure of products. Many businesses out there haven't yet streamlined those legacy sunsetting products. So that's another takeout. The other sort of best practice that we're seeing when we go into organizations, obviously hundreds of products, different features. The first step is really streamlining your product register. So what is a product? What is a portfolio? Which features can be refined or exited? So you've got a nice clean list of those products, and you assign a life cycle owner to each of those product strategies. Again, quite basic steps, simple steps to take, but powerful when you get it set up in this end-to-end framework, and you start to get these benefits, particularly we're seeing with consistent monitoring of your products. And again, we would see best practice is an annual review of your products, and for those products that are more strategic, often doing monthly monitoring or real-time monitoring and quarterly reviews of those products. And just the final area for best practice is around risk management. So obviously we all know risk management is important and the engagement into your product teams, but that can often be time consuming. So again, we're going to touch on today how you can automate that risk management as a product team and generate all the monthly dashboards that you need for your risk and compliance teams. That's definitely the automation of that is best practice. So that's just a couple of takeouts in terms of best practices. And now Sue and I are just going to, just go a little bit deeper into some of those sort of general insights, and then share out the detail around what that life cycle governance framework looks like. And before we do that, I just want to touch on some of the business outcomes that we're seeing. So if you're, really looking at whether the time is right now for you to uplift and transform your life cycle management and governance, these are some of the sort of key business outcomes that we're seeing. So down the bottom of this slide, you can see in the kind of purple areas, we're seeing definitely some key benefits in your product teams, some tactical benefits around the centralization of systems, having that one source of truth, pulling things from emails, shared drives, consolidating that down, but significant benefits in your product monitoring and your reporting up to your senior executives and your compliance teams. So powerful benefits there, but then sort of taking it up a level, there are some sort of key business outcomes we're seeing across, most industry sectors. And just to touch on a couple of those, obviously with an end-to-end life cycle governance framework, we're seeing benefits of improved risk management and compliance, but also benefits over on the other side, growth benefits. So being more focused on your customer because you're doing that regular monitoring and reviews, and then embedding that compliance, things like your sustainability at a product level really does mean strategically you're improving your product trust, and there's obviously brand and reputational benefits of that across the entire organisation. Other area, just to sort of finish up on this slide, obviously there's some significant efficiency and cost benefits in product and compliance teams from automating your lifecycle management and governance. And really what we're seeing is organisations free up that time to be more strategic and drive innovation across their businesses. So optimizing your life cycle management and governance. So just at a high level, as we sort of pull apart this model, I mentioned before, it's end to end. It starts at that design phase. We're seeing benefits of at that design stage, obviously incorporating your regulatory requirements into your new product innovation. The second step here, looking as you design and launch your products, also including things like your customer complaints, but also getting information back across your value chain. So that's your product suppliers or your product distributors that have valuable insights for your product monitoring, and they're incorporated into that end-to-end lifecycle management. I guess in terms of this framework, again, the orange areas here, the monitoring and the automating of the risk is definitely where we're seeing benefits in organisations, and really automating that and the standard improvement that you get pretty much in the first 90 days of doing that monitoring consistently and automating the risk. There's some significant benefits. And then the final step in the governance process that often gets overlooked, as I mentioned earlier, is just that continuous improvement and the exit or review and migration of mature long tail products. So that's the end-to-end governance framework in a snapshot. So I guess really that surrounds your sort of end-to-end product management to drive your innovation, your customer focus, and that life cycle monitoring. But this second step as to what we're seeing as best practice, and also being driven by your regulatory environment, is incorporating your ESG, so your environmental sustainability and governance, in your product teams as a first step. So we've developed a checklist because I firmly believe that product teams have a very strategic role to play in the next 5 years, helping their organisations transition legacy products and also to meet your sustainability and your social and governance metrics. And this is quite an exciting area for product teams. So we have unpacked what that means in your life cycle management and governance framework, provided you with all the templates to do that. But here's just a sort of a checklist that you can use in your own organisation as you go on that journey. So as a product team, obviously the first step is to have that end-to-end lifecycle governance framework, but then just embedding across each of the steps in that framework what that means for particularly your sustainability metrics. So setting those material topics right through to the policies that you need, metrics in a product team, and then the continuous improvement and reporting you need for that sustainability. So as I mentioned, this is a very exciting area for product teams to start and take the leadership on across their organisation, and really having this bottom-up product. I like to say that you're adding the P to the ESG. So starting to go on that journey. It doesn't have to be perfect when you start, but I do see that best practice product teams, particularly chief product officers, are starting to set this as the agenda in their organisation and embed that at a product level so that you're preventing greenwashing, particularly in your product marketing collateral. So plenty more detail around that checklist that we can provide for anyone that's interested. Now, just finishing up before I hand over to Sue to go into a little bit more detail, we've just got two very short case studies. So this is just a case study. Obviously, we're doing a lot in financial services around consumer duty and design and distribution obligations, and embedding that end-to-end lifecycle governance in your teams. So right from that design stage, again, being able to share with SkyJet that product data into your suppliers or indeed into distribution channels, your broker channels in financial services. But what I'd emphasize in these examples for the deployments that we've done is the significant benefits in the ongoing monitoring, those annual product reviews that you have to do, and just automating that risk management in the sort of case studies. And again, embedding these frameworks in organisations, what we're seeing is doing that in 4 to 6 weeks across your product and your compliance teams. And then the second one, because I know we've got quite a few people on the call from airlines. So again, just unpacking what it means for airlines. I think the great news is that a lifecycle management and governance framework has benefits across most industries. Airlines is typical of that. Again, at that product design stage, we're seeing it's best practice where you're designing and looking at your, of course, kind of safety, but your other regulatory requirements, particularly customer expectations around sustainability. But then as you move into this monitoring and automating your risk, we're seeing benefits as you look at your products, your solutions and services in this industry over time, just to improve that value that you're delivering to your clients in the airline industry. So that's the snapshot. I'll hand back to you now, Sue. I think with those case studies, obviously we've got quite a lot of detail around those. So for anyone that's interested, I can deep dive further into those examples as to how it could be operationalised in your sector.
Thank you, Lisa. That's great. So I suppose with this, I'm going to introduce you to SkyJet. So SkyJet is an AI-powered, cloud-based product lifecycle management platforms, and organisations that we're working with are using SkyJet to implement their product governance frameworks for effective management of their products and services throughout the lifecycle of them. So we integrate into siloed data systems to unlock data, giving product teams direct access to their performance metrics and charting those directly into reports and insights for data-driven decision making. And as Lisa's touched on it, we do work with a range of industries that use SkyJet to help them manage their products from ideation through to sunsetting, with benefits seen within that 90 days. And also really quickly, just to touch on SkyJet's Connect model, you can connect with SkyJet through your value chain, and organisations connecting with their distribution network to conduct that product data exchange, making it a pragmatic solution to improve product performance. So just in the platform, you can manage the life cycle of your each of your products, documents or service, whatever's in need of managing through the life cycle. So when you first log in, you see the purple sort of sidebar, and these are your global product governance tools for your organisation. And this is just what I'm showcasing here is the products page, where you can manage product, service or documents, and it's essentially that catalogue listing. And if you're a stakeholder, access your organisation's risk and governance reporting from here. SkyJet provides standard governance reporting built on product governance principles, along with you can obviously build your own also to suit your critical metrics. So here's just some examples of that very top level view of your portfolios. And this one here is just an example of our ESG performance monitoring report for your organisation. So now we'll just take you through the best practice product governance framework. That's our key topic today. So I've just clicked through to a product, and this is sort of that design stage. We develop those product strategies or incorporate your ESG policy. And along the bottom here is just giving you access to those historical sort of designs, which enables that particularly useful risk and compliance audit trail. And then you can obviously distribute across your value chain where you can share and receive product related information. The monitor stage is where you monitor the life cycle of your products through reviewing and monitoring and reporting. This helps with the collaboration of teams to review performance over time. Here's just an example of an annual product review. And again, the audit trail of historical reviews along the bottom there too. And then another key part that we've talked about today is the stage of automating risk. You can set threshold caps in a trigger workflow that automatically analyzes your performance data and metrics and detects risks that get charted into our risk and opportunities matrix here. Again, you can set these thresholds. They're really easy to set. And then the final stage really is that life cycle improvement. So through your automated risk, those get sort of charted across into an action sort of tab for you to go on. So that's just really a really short snippet of what SkyJed can do in terms of activating your product and governing your product lifecycle governance framework. So what I'll do now is just take you through to sort of just the next stage of thinking. We get asked a lot, how difficult is this sort of technology to implement into SkyJed? And really it isn't. As Lisa mentioned earlier, it's about simplifying your portfolio, and that's sort of where we start. So we run a highly successful onboarding program managed through a number of stages, which includes a discovery, a design, implementation sort of program. And the program trains your team, and that's obviously managed through our dedicated customer support team that operates globally. So with this framework, we see product teams upskilled and proficient in their organisation's governance principles and frameworks, all built in SkyJed and configured for their teams for them to hit the ground sort of running. So what I'll do now is just flick over to some questions and answers. And we've got a few minutes to sort of go through these. Please feel free to post any questions in the chat. Now, I have also received one from a different time zone. Lisa, I might flick this over to you. So when an organisation adopts SkyJed as their technology sort of platform for this, what's the success rate in that adoption across teams, whether they're small or large?
Yeah, so I mean, just in terms of the adoption, I mean, so you sort of mentioned that sort of structured implementation over 6 to 8 weeks. So certainly that program, given that we've sort of implemented now with, as I mentioned, across more than 150 sort of clients, we do see that, I guess, really a sort of key message of improving the standard of your product management and governance in the first 90 days. So just having that kind of consistency, it's set up end to end, particularly as chief product officers are seeing benefits, just that consistent standard in the first 90 days. And then the second area, of course, is a significant improvement in the collaboration with your compliance teams, because that's all coming into the one platform. They've collaborated around it. That becomes a key benefit again in those early stages in the first 90 days.
And yeah, just to add to that, we also have governance reports also to monitor on the metrics of how far your the success rate of using and adopting SkyJed as a tool. And we conduct those in our quarterly sort of reviews with our clients. So I've got another question here also, and Lisa, we could both sort of tag team on this one maybe. So the question is, do you offer help or guidance with the information that needs to be captured for each of, for organisations? For example, templates, do we have templates sort of in the platform for them to hit the ground running?
Yeah, absolutely. So the sort of SkyJet solution obviously comes with the end-to-end governance framework, but we also provide at each of those steps the best practice templates that you need. So right from that design through to the monitoring, templates for everything from a lean canvas to your target market statements, your sustainability, your ESG, your annual product reviews. They're all are part of the solution. So those best practice templates are there, and that probably links back to the previous question. That's why we're seeing chief product officers say that they're seeing those benefits in the first 90 days, because there's the templates there. So it doesn't matter whether you're an agile organization or whether you're still using waterfall, or you're like a lot of companies, you're hybrid in your agile and your lifecycle frameworks. All of those templates come embedded in the SkyJet solution for you to start using on day one.
And just to add to that, Lisa, I think we've seen a lot of use cases with our clients to go in and obviously update those templates, because it takes a few minutes to update. And obviously, depending on your objectives, you can either add to them, take away from them, or update over time, or create new ones. So we offer a range of templates throughout the life cycle of the time that you're with us as well as clients, but also you're free to do that on your own as well. So SkyJet is completely reconfigurable to your as your objectives sort of grow, and we provide that support the whole way through. I don't have any other questions here, so I might just sort of just talk about the next sort of step. Really, just to wrap up, I hope today was insightful, and we've sort of unlocked how it is to sort of get started. It's one of those questions that sort of come up a lot in meetings around implementing SkyJet, especially in those larger organisations where governance frameworks are becoming an important part of their success. So we feel, it's please feel free to sort of reach out for a no obligation conversation. We'd be happy to offer a free consultation with your organisation, just to showcase also how easy it is to sort of get started and to simplify that journey with us. Obviously, SkyJet's here to help you implement a best practice product lifecycle governance framework, and we're quite good at doing that. So please feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn, contact us via email, or through our website too. So we hope you have a great day, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.